To Wall Street now as investors unpack a fresh batch of economic data. The Dow climbed 664 points. The producer price index, which measures the rising costs of goods before they reach consumers, rose less than expected in September. But the upbeat news on inflation comes amid deepening worries about the U.S. economy. A new report shows this month consumer confidence hit its lowest point since April. Let's bring in CBS News Money Watch correspondent Kelly O'Grady. Kelly, great to be with you. Black Friday deals have already begun. We know that. Holiday shopping is just getting started. I'm getting all the shopping alerts on my phone. But what does all this data tell us about how most Americans are spending this year?
So there's a couple things I want to point out. That consumer confidence number that you mentioned, that looks at how folks were feeling in November. The producer prices piece, essentially how much it's costing and how much those costs are increasing for the folks that make the goods that you and I go buy at the grocery store or other places, right? That is more of a September number. So they're sort of looking at two different snapshots in time. And that's part of the challenge that we're dealing with right now, that we are trying to understand of what's going on with the U.S. economy. Limited and also dated in some ways. I think the two of those, though, come together in the retail sales number that we got today. And that came in lower than expected, right? We were expecting to see retail sales increase about 0.3%. It came in at 0.2%. And I always highlight that retail sales, it gives you a snapshot of consumer spending, but it's not adjusted for inflation. So a lot of that growth is simply because things cost more from one month to another. It's not.
Heading into the holiday season, Black Friday being around the corner, I'm really interested to see what the numbers are going to be when Black Friday comes around, when Black Monday comes around, Cyber Monday. And I think right now people are feeling a little less excited about the holiday season. I know in the past for me, it's been like a time of year where it's like, yo, we got to spend all this money. We got the kids and everybody wants new things. This year, I think the feeling for a lot of us is, let's just get together as family. People are still going to spend money, but it's been a very hard year for most Americans. Wages have for sure not kept up with inflation. The biggest thing, though, has been the lack of job growth and then layoffs. So you have a bunch of people since, I want to say, September, October, in the last 2 or 3 months who've been laid off for jobs. I'm talking about your Amazon workers, your managers at Target, like all these people who've been laid off. No one's really thinking about buying gifts, right? They can't. They're thinking about paying rent. They're thinking about keeping their car notes, their car insurance. They're thinking about water, lighting, all these things just to live. So the gift aspect of going out and spending, $1,500, $2,000 over the holiday weekend coming up right now is pretty much on the back burner, right? And we knew all this was coming. And this is just a really tough time of the year because, you really do want to be able to provide, happiness to your family. I think this year people are saying, hey, let's just be happy that we're around each other, right? Let's just be happy that, we have each other to hold and love and, share a meal. I think the grocery stores will obviously do well. I was in a grocery store last night. Lines were down the aisles, so that's not a problem right now. But come Monday, I don't think we're going to see the old school, everybody bum rush the door, at Walmart, right? It's just, that's not going to happen this year, right? It'll be some folks looking for deals. Another thing to watch, honestly, is Amazon, right? There's been, obviously, Amazon is king of Black Friday, I would suspect right now, to see how many trucks are going to be driving around on Friday and Saturday. And so, yeah, I just think that, emotionally, people are just kind of sick of this year, right? There's a lot of stuff going on and a lot of turmoil, a lot of layoffs, just a lot. So I think we're just all like, hey, let's get past this year and get on to what's next year. And, hopefully next year will be a lot better.
That people are buying more. That was also a September number. So it gives you a sense of, okay, we had some really good spending over the summer. September is often time where you take a little bit of break, you save up some money. I think if that trend continues as
people aren't saving money. Right? Let's just be honest. People aren't saving money. The money that you saved you're digging into to live, right? It's living money now. It's not even saving money. What are we saving money for? I mean, I think retirement at this point for a lot of people is out the door. I think people just feel like, you know what, I'm going to work the rest of my life and that's just going to be it, right? Until the cost of living just, figures out a way to cut down. And I think there's going to be some big changes monetarily coming out soon. So we'll see what that has to hold. But for right now, as the way things stand, there's no savings. So the savings that you would have had, unless you're going to go ahead and dig into those credit cards. But as we've seen, the credit cards debt that the average American has is through the roof. So there's no savings. There's no credit cards. This is going to equal, not really a happy holiday season, to be honest, right? So, the savings that most Americans would have, the credit card debt that would be lowered for this time of year going into next year, I think is very minimal, to say the least. And it's just the reality of what the economy has done to most Americans, what the job market has done to most Americans in the last few months.
Go into the holidays, and again, the data is limited. We're really not going to get a full picture until the beginning of the new year. That's where it's concerning, right? Because the holiday season, that is when people spend.
I hear people keep saying the data. I don't think, obviously we want to see the numbers, but I think when you look at the everyday person, when you look at people going to work, people are tired. I don't see people smiling, driving to work, right? I mean, who does want to smile when you're going to work? But I don't really hear people feeling excited, feeling accomplished. I hear the opposite, honestly. I hear people it's kind of a drag. I hear people having to get 2 or 3 jobs to cover their monthly income, right? And that's the reality right now. So yeah, it is a somber time because it was a period of time, I don't know really since when the holiday seasons has become this tumultuous, right? But I remember back in the 80s, 90s, it was a time of joy. The malls were packed. People were shopping. My grandmother, she would have bags and bags of stuff, and I mean, it was just a great time for everyone. That is not the reality anymore, right? That is not what going into 2025, 2026, or is what's happening. People are saying, hey, if I could just spend time with friends and family, I think that's the most important thing for this year.
I'm getting those alerts too, Liz.
Yeah, and I'm just curious if there's any kind of predictions, Kelly. I mean, what are we expecting this holiday weekend? This is supposed to be the Super Bowl of spending, but we keep hearing that people are being more conscientious about their spending. What do you think is going to happen here?
So we do have a couple of predictions. One comes from a recent Deloitte survey, and they say that this particular weekend, that Black Friday, Cyber Monday, all of it in between, that consumers are going to pull back, that the average consumer will spend about
Didn't I say that? Yeah, they are going to pull back. People are spending money. We've already seen it. Sales have been down in many sectors, in the car sector, in the housing sector, in a lot of sectors, sales are down. That's the trend is going to continue. It's not going to automatically just go through the roof because it's the holiday season. The consumer mindset is, let me get through this end of the year, right? Let me figure out a way to make sure that the bills get paid, things that I have to deal with on a day-to-day basis are priority. Buying gifts will be obviously secondary.
$622, and while that does sound like a lot, it's a 4% drop versus the previous year. We have also heard from a number of other retailers or retail prediction reports that the whole holiday season people will spend a little bit more. I think the really important thing is that spending is being driven by high income earners. So you have those that are doing well, that are feeling okay, putting the economy on their back, they're going out and spending, but folks on the lower end, they maybe aren't doing as much. They're maybe going into debt. They're trading down from other things and then just picking one or a few.
That's 10% of folks. And I did a report on this earlier, a month ago now, that 10% of the people are really carrying this economy right now. So the high income earners are the ones that are spending money, right? They're the ones investing in the stock market. They're the ones that are seeing the opposite end. They call this a K-shaped economy, where you have one portion of the economy going straight up, you got one portion of the economy going straight down, right? So that 10% of folks who are making money, I mean, it's Gucci, right? They are going out there, they're spending money, they're buying more things for their friends and family, and they're carrying the economy. But that doesn't make up the totalitarian or the total of what this economy really looks like. I always say that, you know what I mean? I mean, just because 5% of people are doing well doesn't mean that 95 of those other folks are doing well. Like, are they making money? Do they have jobs? Can they cover their rent, their mortgages? Are they in debt? And that is the subset of America that we have to focus on, not the 10%. So, you know, there's kind of two statements that she just made there where, you know, oh, people are going to be pulling back, but then no, you know, retailers think that people are going to buy more. Who? What people, right? The 10% of folks that are carrying this economy, that's a really like low number in the grand scheme of things to use of how people are, how spending is happening, right? I just don't think it's fair. You know, as an economy, we should look at this as a whole, not just, you know, one subset at a time. And yeah, I get it. You know, we want to make sure that we go out there and we spend the money that we can for our, you know, our kids and our friends, families. But again, I just think the overall sentiment this year is let's just get together. Let's be together. Let's eat some good food, right? Everybody can do that. But I mean, you know, even that is something cause for concern, right? We know that the stat benefits are changing, although they just start back up again. It's just a lot of uncertainty right now. And I just think people need to be thankful for just, you know, their health, being able to be around friends, family. And, you know, here's what I would say, do. Take some of the money that you would spend and make a budget, right? Just say, hey, you know what? Last year we spent this. This year, let's cut it in half, right? Let's not just do as much, right? Because, and it's not to say that you don't want to, right? And don't feel bad about it either, right? Don't feel bad about not being able to spend what you did. You know, like people get it. Like everybody gets it. These conversations should be something that you guys should be having. And what that's going to do is going to give you a sense of like, hey, this is okay. I can go out there and make sure that my friends or family, we're all good, everybody's straight, you know, and not have to live up to the, you know, the Joneses, right? Who are buying the new things for their kids or buying the new computers and the cars and blah, blah, blah. Like that's not reality right now for most people. And that's just okay. So with that being said, y'all, this is Saving America's Money. Be safe, be strong, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.